Welcome to Humble Beginnings, the entrepreneurial and inspirational show that you absolutely love. And today, under a cerulean blue sky, our flight docks in Westlands at the Raptor Heights, where in an ostentatious corner office that is largely glass overlooking a luscious horizon, I meet a well-suited gentleman busy on his desk. His mellow demeanor is slightly deceiving, but it's from here that he runs his fast-growing empire. And this is his throne of power. He is the honcho at Ronald's LLP, a modern accounting services firm. Coincidentally, his name is Ronald Bossy. Sir, is the difference the same?
Ronald and Ronald's are two different entities. Ronald is a person. The full name for Ronald as a person is Ronald Bossy. And the Ronald's LLP is an entity. So that's the difference.
Okay.
So they are two different entities. It's just a coincidence that Ronald's LLP has a name that bears one of the partners, Ronald Bossy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Ronald Bossy.
Yeah.
Okay. And just be coming to the entity that now represents the company and the institution.
Yes.
But let's talk about Ronald Bossy, the man.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your exact role in this space?
My role is I'm the group managing partner of Ronald's LLP East Africa region, and I look after the entities of Kenya, the Kenyan entity that does audit and tax and advisory within the Kenyan as a country. I'm also in charge of the Ugandan entity. We have an entity registered in Uganda, Ronald's Partners Uganda. We also got a license to operate in Rwanda recently, so we've launched operations in Rwanda. We have some business and operations in Rwanda. We have also business in Tanzania, in Ethiopia, in Somaliland. We've been actually working for the government of Somaliland, and also we have business in Zambia. So my primary responsibility is to look at the entities, Ronald's LLP entities within the East African institutions or countries. My job descriptions, maybe I'll want to talk about it, maybe summarize my job description at Ronald's LLP East Africa. It's summarized into three. My primary role is strategy. So I'm the head of strategy in terms of the strategic thinking and also directing the team within the strategic angle. I'm also in charge of leadership, and I'm also in charge of market development, opening up new markets. So that summarizes my job description at Ronald's LLP.
And for a man with such a profile and daily heavy roles as he makes business moves across the East African chessboard, I find out, was he born a CEO?
I don't believe, there is this leadership saying that you say that leaders are not born, leaders are made. And I subscribe to that school of thought. I was brought up in humble family in Vihiga, where I was born and grew. I went to primary, high school. And then I started the consultancy in earlier days. After working for a period about 4 years, I was in manufacturing. And then I went to retail businesses and also worked for some advisory companies that I got experience and also the interest actually to lead a team of an accountancy profession. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you connect to Ronald the boy.
Yes, yes.
Back then, many years back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
When you remember about your childhood,
yeah.
What smells, what sounds, what kind of environment needs that thought?
Okay, I really enjoyed my childhood growing up, whereby it was free range. I always say that sometimes I sympathize with my boys because they don't have the privilege of growing up as in a free range environment, whereby you can run from one end to the end of the of the village, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
I also really remember growing up with a lot of sports. I loved football growing up. I would always run away instead of taking care of the kettles, the cows. I will be actually playing football, and I will always get myself in trouble with my parents because they'll be, where are you? I will receive a number of several strokes of the cane from my mom, who was very, very tough, you know, bringing us up, because I left the animals, went to play football. I would play football from morning to evening, until very late in the evening. So it was a very nice practical life to grow up, especially in the village, you know, in those old days when there were no TVs, you know, there were no PS4s to play. And I always joke with my boys. I tell them that, by the way, for you guys, you believe that when we say we're having quality time with our kids, is maybe being in Java, being at Two Rivers, being at some of these posh malls and having good time. But growing up in the village those days, having fun with your parents actually was either on the farm or on the grazing field. So I believe that was fun, and really that modeled us somehow to be who we have become now, because work was inculcated in our DNA, you know. The other also experiences that I also really remember and really model my life is a issue of trading. I also learned the aspect of trading at very early stage. I will go buy sugarcane from the farmers and go and sell them, and I love that business. Of course, I will make some few shillings and coins, you know, cents, which I will then use during weekdays to buy some mandazi for myself. So it was quite fun and very humbling, but I believe that really modeled who I am, because I realized, by the way, you could easily just make money by doing business, you know, trading, exchanging some goods, commodities and services, and you're able to actually progress. But I believe that kind of environment was very critical to just in terms of unlocking my potential and understanding how businesses function and operate, and modeled who I am.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So with such an entrepreneurial background,
yes,
and your entrepreneurial acumen just being sharpened at a very young age,
yes, yes,
one of the childhood statements that get to paint where they want to be in the future is, when I grow up, I want to be. Use that statement for me.
Okay, what I loved so much when growing up, what I wanted to become was a teacher.
Oh, really?
For me, I always say, when I grow up, I wanted to be a teacher. Initially, I wanted to be a shopkeeper. When I grew up, I used to say I want to be a shopkeeper. You know why I wanted to be a shopkeeper? Because growing up, you know, eating bread and having soda, that was a luxury. And one of the things that used to fascinate me is, how can a shopkeeper have all these things, good, nice, sweet things? He has all the sweets, has all the breads, the sodas, you know, Fanta Orange was nice and tasty, you know. And the shopkeeper is not eating. So I thought the shopkeeper is one of the most privileged person, you know, in the village. And growing up, I used to admire so much the shopkeeper.
But of course, the light of maturity soon casts clarity on the fog of our childhood fantasies, and our career paths changed drastically. His thoughts on the relation between education and career?
I always say that school gives you a worldview of things, and especially the Kenyan education system. It gives you a worldview of things, so that you can have a perspective on what is available for you to do. But what you do in life is now a personal choice, and a decision that you make now when you are mature. It's very difficult to make a decision at that young age. Of course, we've heard of some of the curriculums that model you to who to become. For me, I was mentored to be an accountant. When I grew up, I realized that I'm not your typical accountant who will sit in the office from 8 to 5, doing reconciliations and doing entries into the system. It was actually very boring. That's why I lasted my profession on a very short time, working as an accountant in the industry. It became fascinating for me just to be working with a variety of clients and learning from them and understanding what they do and their business. That was more interesting and more rewarding to me. That's why I decided that now that I've learned so much at accounting, but I don't like the ordinary industry accountant, how he or she will work. That's why I decided, let me do something that is more exciting, and that is consultancy. Wow. Yes, and even when I began the advisory, I had not immersed so much experience that maybe will be expected of any advisor or consultant. But you see, I've learned with the time, and I always say that in advisory, you learn more faster than you will learn when you are just working for a particular entity as an accountant.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you ever been employed?
Yeah, I was employed after finishing my CPAs and bachelor's degree. I was employed. I was the first employment I did was an audit firm, internship, and I remember my employment letter. It was written that you've been employed in this company as an audit associate, but we will not pay you anything.
It was a paid internship.
Yeah, it was a paid internship. And we say the reason why we will not pay you is because you will learn in the process. That sounded very barbaric. But I remember consulting with my brother and say, you know what, that is the best school for you because you are just paying fees for, your extended learning. Yeah. And I remember that training is actually made me who I am now, the experience and the patience to go through that free paid internship. Okay. Eventually I got a job as an accountant in a manufacturing company in Australia, and I grew very fast to become the finance manager to that institution.
Then first job?
Yeah, on the second, now after I was employed now officially in a manufacturing, because I had gotten critical experience working with a local accounting firm. Then now from there I went back into audit again because I missed the advisory bit, and I just realized I'm not a typical accountant. And then from there I realized I have now enough experience now to venture into consultancy.
In a country where there are thousands of graduates every year with dwindling job opportunities, it is hard to get a job. Recent graduates usually go on a long job hunting spree where tens of CVs are sent. In most cases, one does not even receive an acknowledgement that the application has been received, leave alone a regret. People attend interviews and never get any feedback. In many places, jobs are awarded based on who you know rather than your qualifications. The government has frozen hiring while several respectable businesses have laid off people in the recent past. The dilemma thickens when the government as an employer is notorious for hiring the elderly people as opposed to the young people, with some retired people having their terms extended even beyond their retirement age. Then comes the thorny issue: internships. To pay or not to pay? Who should pay for interns to flourish in private organizations? Should the company pay for the labor, or should the intern pay for the opportunity and experience? Who owes who? Can't you leave your thoughts in the comment section? Meanwhile, back to the corner office. Ronald is waiting.
Some people have very, very bad memories about their employment spaces.
Yes.
The employment stages.
Yes.
Especially in relation to maybe a boss.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those moments that you just look back and say, because of this, I want to be a better boss today?
What I did is, because of being told that you will be employed in this company, but you will not be paid anything. No. It sounded very cruel, for me, because, I was broke. I didn't have good shoes. I didn't have good clothes. And then now I've studied very hard and I've passed very difficult exams. It sounded very unfriendly for someone to tell me that you will be employed for nothing. And the decision I made from there is even the trainees that I hire, even the internship that I give to staffs, Ronald's LLP will always give you something that will help you just to facilitate you in terms of be it lunch, be it travel and all that, because I really struggled through all that. It was a very painful experience, and I thought that even as we engage in turns, let us be more also respectful. Let us support them in whatever way we can. That has really changed the way I treat those who come from school fresh, Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
That's quite commendable.
Yeah.
Commendable.
Yes.
Right. So what was that exact thought that now finally led to you thinking of Ronald's LLP?
Yeah.
What was that thought that birthed Ronald's LLP?
Okay. Initially, when I left employment, I partnered with a fellow colleague, whereby he was doing HR advisory, and I was providing finance and business strategy and accounting and tax. And I thought it would be good partnership because we saw local need for, especially among the small businesses, the businesses operating around Kirinyaga Road, in town, Luthuli Avenue, and all that, having shops. We thought that they needed to be guided in terms of how do they keep their books bright. And that was my passion, to meet that need. And I realized that, yes, we had very good established accounting firms. All of them were actually aiming at the corporate level, but they were not looking at the SMEs, the lower businesses, those who are just struggling to try to establish and become corporate. They needed technical support. And in Kenya, we have many of them. So I saw a need that was not met by existing firms. So it is based on that background that I decided to partner with my colleague and leverage on his establishment in order to actually expand into that particular consultancy. And we did that for 2 years. But the challenges we differed on in terms of how we ran the company and all that, and in principles, what he wanted to achieve and what I wanted to achieve. And that's why in 2010 then we found Ronald's Associates, which now the firm changed from Ronald and Associates to Ronald's LLP, as we continue to grow and expand and also accommodate other additional partnerships. So that was the changing point, just to meet the needs that were there, especially among small businesses in the country that were underserved by existing firms that were more targeted at corporate level rather than as small businesses. Okay. Yes, that was my driving force.
And with that driving force, Ronald shifted to entrepreneurship. Why then did he consider a partnership? Why is his staff team predominantly youthful? His audit firm is now an international outfit. But how did their baby steps look like in their initial days? Glad you are tuned in. We continue with the story of Ronald Bossy, the group managing partner of Ronald's Limited Liability Partnership, a modern accounting firm that uses cutting-edge technology solutions to deliver results. Let's zoom on the context of the industry.
Kenya is among the largest economies in Africa. The country has rapidly emerged as a lucrative market for investment, not only due to overall economic growth levels and political stability, but also due to the fact that its relatively diversified economy is immune to fluctuations in oil and commodity prices. As a result, government agencies have increasingly sought support from accounting and advisory firms, particularly partnering with the Big Four in the accounting world, Deloitte, EY, KPMG, and PwC. But with a shifting landscape in the business environment, new business ties are being forged, with the Big Four audit firms seen to be expensive and underservicing SME clients. Therefore, with many SMEs seeking to strengthen their bookkeeping and attract funding by having external auditors check their books, the non-Big Four audit firms are taking up the space left by the audit giants. It was a big win, nonetheless, for Ronald's LLP when Parliament recently handed them a decent tender for the ever-lucrative contract to audit the books of the Auditor General for the financial year 2018 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020.
The Chief Operating Officer had this to say about the big win.
I'm excited because as a local firm shows you that they have ability to take up even bigger challenges. And I can tell you one of the key things that has set us apart is value. You know, you've also seen one of our brand personalities is exceptional value. Yes. And people have begun feeling it, not just in Kenya, but in the entire of East Africa, Africa, because we have clients even in the African region and all. And so people have begun feeling the value, which is most important for any client. And so I think if you looked at the newspaper advert and all, what they said is that our technical proposal stood out. So that tells you it wasn't about the financial proposal that probably we quoted lower and all. It was the technical proposal. Okay. So people are beginning to feel the value we're putting in, which really gets me excited because we are living our personality. Yes.
Exceptional value.
Yes.
In terms of clients,
yes,
the kind who just passed through your hands,
yes,
what has been your biggest win in terms of like this was a big client?
This was a big client.
Yes.
Okay, now we have many big clients. What we have tried to do as a company, in audit, there is what we call client concentration risk. When you have one huge client who actually generates your revenue, then it's very risky, because that client calls shots and you lose your independence. So we've tried as a firm to make sure that none of the client pay us more than 10% of our revenue. And you need to understand that as a company, there is what we call business goals. Our goal was risk management. And risk management, you rather get 1 million shillings from 5 clients than get 1 million shillings from one client. Because if one client defaults, what happens? And most companies struggle with client concentration risk, because you get one major client and then now you are stuck there.
Then I'm just calling the shots.
I remember getting one very huge job, and they were paying us some guide fees. Every year they will pay us good fees of about 10 million shillings and above. And that was when we were just starting. And it was risky, but I told my team, if we continue like this, we are going to wind up. Because what if that client shuts down? And for sure, that client got issues, was embroiled in a lot of issues, and we could no longer serve the client, service the client. But we were happy, we were glad that even when the client went under, we still continued with other many clients that we have developed. Okay. So as a firm, we have a policy that no client should exceed more than 10%. Sometimes we will even not take because of independence issues, and because of that client also calling shots and all that. So we have that guidelines.
But they didn't always have the spotlight. Ronald and Noah Andakala, the managing partner for Kenya, take me through memory lane.
This should be our 11th year, because we started in 2010. Yeah, it's quite from very humble beginnings. I think I recall we still have some of our very first clients that we started with. And it's amazing. If we look at the history, when we started serving them, we were just the two of us, myself and Ronald, and we used to operate actually day after day. We get a small check today, we would all go to bank it, and we would count the days. When the money clears, we draw, and we try to sort a few expenses for the organization. And for us, our main interest that time was just to find a livelihood. At least we can get cash to pay our expenses, just to get a bit comfortable, especially in the stomach, so that then we can be able to have energy for the next day.
Can you remember your first office? How did it look like?
Our first office was, I usually tell members of staff here, you would need to knock. Otherwise, if you don't knock, you open, it bangs into somebody's chair, seated right at the edge of the door. So it was a small room at Uniafric House, and it was terrible. But then we had to move out very fast. Then we came to Westlands. Yeah, and I think this is our fourth office. We have changed offices. This is the fourth time. Yeah, from the smaller one room to now the space that we have that can occupy more than 150 people.
I always say good things have to begin from basic, from ground to up. I began from a very low level. I was telling you how my laptop was falling off. It was sellotapes all over, yeah? And I started from Kirinyaga hawking services in a briefcase, can I do for you this, can I do for you this, asking the guys, and my fees were 2,000, 3,000 shillings. It was just like a small lunch now, yeah. So I will spend a lot of quite considerable amount of time trying to look for clients, and that time we had an office in town. It was this suit number, I think our office was 305, 5, yeah, small room, that will not accommodate more than 5 staffs. I remember with my colleague, my partner, first partner, we used to exchange the reception area, you know. We used to exchange even the table, the desks, you know, the executive desk. It was only one. So every time somebody is meeting his client, he has to go away, the other one comes in. It was like such a beginning. So, and I'm happy about that.
They were not always bosses at Ronald's LLP. Any lessons from their employment days?
Employment is a very good thing, and through employment, actually, you get to learn the things that will help you if you want to start your own business. And personally, I've done jobs that when I tell people I've done, they will not believe. I've actually been a messenger myself. I've been a clerk in a store. I've cooked food for people and they have eaten in an office. So my employment journey is quite very long. But what I have done is that I have leveraged from one employment to the next progressively. And to date, I could step in my first employer and have tea with the employer, because I established a very good relations. When I was there, despite of how small or how low the job was, I did that job as if I'm doing it to perfection. So part of the things that I've gained from that is today I can still go to the people I worked for and they can refer me a job, and we can work for that client through those relationships. I've learned things that you cannot learn in school, because I've worked in a law firm, I've worked in a manufacturing company, I've worked in a bakery, I've worked in a retail place. All those things today they form a very rich knowledge of my consulting, because I'm not just sort of like a book person saying I read this and I want to implement in your business. I have lasted that experience.
In terms of transition, I know most people ask me that it was risky, but I don't think it was a big risk as such. Because one, when I left employment, I had not grown to the top level of employment. I was not earning huge salaries, and I didn't have so much to lose. And I say it was the best time for me to transition, because I know sometimes people try to get out of employment to business, but they can't do that because they have grown to very established positions, they have good salaries, yeah, and they cannot just risk leaving that salary. So for me, the risk was a bit minimal because I didn't have something to lose. And as a matter of fact, I was too young. I was like, if it doesn't work, I'll just look for a job. You know what? That's not a very big risk, you know, for me to take.
How old were you by then?
I was about 24 years, 25 years there.
24?
Yes. Oh. Yeah. So it was a bit easier for me just to transition from employment to, because there was I didn't have a family, you know. I didn't have much to lose. I didn't have so much dependence. My bills were small. I could actually even cut my costs at a very low level because I could live in a small cost house, you know. So it was easier.
Wow, not so many young people make such bold moves and dive into entrepreneurship at that age.
That's right. That's right.
Yet Ronald did, and he knew too when and how to form a partnership that would be solid.
My primary role is strategy.
No dispute about that, sir. But should I tell the people that you have more in store for them next week?
Yes. Oh, he does. He does.
You asked for it. I promise to get up close and personal.
Okay,
I will answer any question you ask me.
Be here for part 2. Same time, same place, next week. For Humble Beginnings, you can call me
Oh Captain, my Captain.
Captain Cargo.